All Hallows Eve, that time of year again when all creatures of the night are unleashed to the world. It's time to return to where it all started. Another year, but the scares continue. Another month, but the fear proceeds to rise. This is the Venom month of horrors 2, Trapped in Time.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Cinematic Venom. It's that day again. Happy Friday the 13th, everybody. Now, last time we talked about the classic original 1980 slasher film. So today we're moving on to the sequel. The original idea for a continuation was actually along the same lines as Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, though this predates that monstrosity. It was to be a series of films released every year, not really linked to each installment, just telling a scary story based on Friday the 13th. However, the studio heads wanted Jason to be part of the plot. See, the ending to part 1 saw Jason leap from the lake and drag Alice underneath, never explaining whether or not it was a dream or it actually happened. But apparently this was done as a complete joke, as they never intended for a sequel to actually happen. Steve S. Cunningham, who directed part 1, admitted he wasn't proud of the film and he declined to return, finding the entire concept ludicrous. He admitted he only made the first one to rip off Halloween, but now they wanted to bring Jason back, which made no sense to him. Though Steve Miner, who was a producer on the first film, wanted to adapt this Jason premise and was brought on to direct instead. Some special effects guys also refused to come back, hating the idea of Jason now being the killer. Yeah, that'll never take off.
No way.
Adrienne King, who previously played Alice, gained an obsessive stalker after the original film, who even broke into her apartment, and due to this she wanted to back away and requested just a cameo. Though others claim her agent wanted more money, which the studio just couldn't afford.
You're crazy.
In fact, it was this incident that led Adrienne to stop acting altogether, though she would lend her voice and eventually do other work almost 20 years later. But weirdly, she did ask the writers to leave an opening for her in this movie, so she at least had the possibility to maybe return later. Which they clearly responded with, "Get bent!"
Oh, really?
The movie also endured severe censorship issues, struggling to avoid an X rating. Some deaths had to be toned down, and one of the actresses originally was completely nude before the studio discovered that she was underage and it had to be completely erased. Ah, the 80s, where nobody did background checks.
We'll never do it again, sir.
Oh, and guess what? This was released on April the 30th, 1981, despite the previous month, March, having a Friday the 13th. Alright, maybe the movie wasn't done by then and they need to add some adjustments to finish it off, but why is the phobia of this series not releasing Friday the 13th on Friday the 13th?
Which one do you prefer?
Much like the first, it was slammed for being just a gore fest with no overall plot or likeable characters, but horror fans ate it up, and it still remains relevant in the cult phenomena that is Friday the 13th, many even believing it was better than the first one. In fact, not only did the original director and special effects guys hate the idea of Jason being alive, so did Betsy Palmer herself. The own cast of the original lambasted this movie before it even began. In fact, at conventions, Palmer always claims that she only ever starred in one Friday the 13th film, completely forgetting about her cameo in this one. In fact, she maintains to her grave to have never watched the final cut of this movie. Well, let's just see how it holds up. I mean, part 1 wasn't very good, but maybe this can top it. This is Friday the 13th, part 2. So we open with some kid walking down the street on his own at night singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider before his mum calls him in. And seconds later, Jason shows up. So, how did neither of them spot the 6-foot killing machine? 30 seconds in, and we already make no sense.
I appreciate that.
I also do not understand the way most of this film is shot. It's from behind him as if it's supposed to build suspense like we don't know who it is. And the trailer even reveals that it's Jason, so don't give me that it might be Pamela somehow returning. Or are they building suspense and tension to, what he might look like, because who cares?
What?
Anyway, we return to Alice, played once again by Adrienne King, who continues to be haunted by visions of the past. And I mean visions of all of the past.
He wasn't a very good swimmer.
These aren't very good movies. But I am not joking. We are shown everything. The entire goddamn fight. Like, I can understand showing us the story to at least give us a quick recap of who Jason is, but we see Alice discovering all of the corpses, her fighting Pamela, all of the damn fights, the fake out ending which still makes no sense and isn't explained, even the cop talking to her in the hospital. All of that lasts 6 minutes! The first 6 minutes of this film, and it's this long, unnecessarily dragged out flashback sequence. And also, Alice claims that she saw Jason. No, she didn't. He was behind her when he dragged her down.
What's the problem?
Oh, and remember how exciting it was to see a full, uninterrupted shot of Alice making coffee in the last film? Well, here they really up the ante because we get to see her wash her face, talk on the phone with her mum, look at some drawings, get undressed while the cameraman politely waits outside like a gentleman, have a shower before opening the curtain dramatically for no reason. That one shot lasts 3 minutes of nothing happening. I mean, credit to the actress, it was actually improvised, she didn't have a script for it. But come on, nothing's going on. And also, why the hell does she even open the shower curtain that dramatically like that anyway? The POV shots just don't work anymore. The first film uses it to show the killer's perspective, so when it's not the killer's perspective, we have no idea. It just looks weird, and it's the same here. I mean, the phone rings, but she pulls the curtain open before it rings.
Mom. Hello?
Oh, but there's no one there. Oh. So is Jason prank calling her? Right. And you know, I'd probably care more if she actually had any personality or character whatsoever. This is her second film and she still doesn't have one, but who cares? For whatever reason, she finds one dead caller odd and locks her door. And bear in mind, this takes place 5 years after the first movie. 5 years? Pamela is dead, nothing has happened since, now she gets one prank call, oh that's it, Jason's after me. And by the way, why did it take Jason 5 years to find her? And also, how did he find her? And how did he get there?
You gonna cut the crap?
Oh well, she realises the window is wide open, which is weird, because if she's this jumpy, why would she leave it wide open? But no, we gotta get a cheap cliche cat scare in there somewhere. Get used to the cheap cliches, because they are everywhere.
Yeah, okay.
So after 11.5 minutes of nothing happening, she opens the fridge to see Pamela's disembodied head before Jason attacks her and finally kills her. So, one problem that the cast and crew and then critics and audiences have is if Jason was alive this entire time, why wouldn't he tell his mum? I mean, he lived, he didn't drown. Here's Pamela massacring people to get revenge for him dying, and he's not dead. He's alive. Literally, this entire damn plot makes no sense right off the bat. But also, did he specifically take his mother's decapitated head all the way to Alice's, put it in the fridge and just wait for her to find it? And why does he take the time to take the kettle off of the stove? And based on how crap these first two movies are, how the hell did these get so many sequels?
Bizarre, isn't it?
Oh well, at least the music for the opening credits is pretty cool. We then cut to our first two meals on legs, one of which kind of looks like Kevin Bacon from the last film. They need to call their friend and get some directions to the camp before... Yes! It's Crazy Ralph! He's back! Ralph is here to save the movie!
I told the others. They didn't believe me. You're all doomed. You're all doomed.
How does he know they're going to Camp Crystal Lake? They literally never say where they're going. Oh, who cares? Ralph is back! Oh well, the truck gets towed. Also, how the hell does she not notice it being towed in the first place? But it turns out it's a prank from their mates all along. Okay, that's kind of funny. But what would have happened if they didn't even chase it that far? Anyway, they soon head off to their inevitable deaths.
I should have known.
So they move the log while Jason lingers. Will you make up your mind about POV shots? Is it the killer or just the damn camera? Oh well, we cut to more of our bland Happy Meals we won't spend enough time with to care about. A random pervert slingshots this bird on the arse. Yeah, and that's the scene. That is literally the entire scene. it serves no purpose whatsoever. Do they want to build suspense again about if he might be the killer or not? Because we already know who the goddamn killer is!
I'm sorry. Okay?
So Ralph also lingers around watching people head to their demise. Why is he so close to Camp Crystal Lake if they're so doomed? I mean, I know that he did that in the first one, but it was like before all the massacres. It wasn't really cursed. He just kind of had a bad feeling about it. But now, like, all those massacres, at least he has a reason now to stay away, and yet here he... Anyway, this blonde bird called Ginny shows up, who I'll definitely have a crush on for the entirety of this movie, and she's the assistant and girlfriend of the guy running the place, Paul.
Ginny, I was starting to worry about you.
Bullshit, Paul.
That line is literally only in the movie to show that they're a couple. Like, literally, they have this whole natural and pretty decent normal conversation, and then all of a sudden he asks, he says that he's been worried about her, and then she kisses him. That's the end of the scene. They have no chemistry together, so the only way to actually show that they're a couple is a quick kiss for no reason. It's the only reason it's there.
Wrong, white man.
But a car doesn't start until he opens the boot, and then it magically works without him even doing anything. Okay.
You're such a sucker, Ward. Thanks much.
I don't want to scare anyone.
And then we get this weirdly ass timed dissolve, and then he's talking about Jason. These movies have no actual concept of structure and pacing. So he explains that Jason's body was never discovered, and some still believe he's out there. Why wouldn't he tell his mom?
Legend has it that Jason saw his mother beheaded that night.
And he didn't bother to step in and help. Pamela's like fighting Alice to the death, and Jason's just over there chilling by the bushes like, it's alright, Mum, you got this. I will be sure to go over and pick up your severed head, though. I got you.
Oh, come on, I'm serious.
But the whole premise just doesn't work. They literally say Jason is angry because he saw his mother get killed, who was killing because Jason is dead. But he wasn't dead. So this is stupid. How is this film held in such high regard?
5 years. 5 long years he's been dormant.
But he wasn't in part 1. So he's basically been dormant for like 20 years since he drowned, right? What? Who cares? This dickhead Ted jumps out and does the cliche fake-out scare, blah blah. Oh, and Camp Crystal Lake is off limits, by the way. This is just a camp that's nearby. But you know, the weird thing is, Ted doesn't actually die. For someone who does the fake-out scare and even breaks horror movie rules by drinking alcohol for most of it, he survives. Alright, credit to them for actually avoiding a cliche for once. Well done.
Very funny.
So they all chill in their cabin doing boring party things while Jason lurks around. For some reason, considering this isn't Camp Crystal Lake, but whatever. But of course, one bird wants to check it out.
Jeff, I just gotta see that place.
What place?
That camp, Camp Blood.
I mean, we're only 2 films in, so I guess it's understandable that she wants to check out the infamous Camp Crystal Lake, but what exactly is she expecting to see there, other than a bunch of trees and some empty cabins? But then Jason knocks on her door, I guess? What, just to mess with... No, it was Paul scaring her, because apparently one fake-out scare just isn't enough. And then he makes out with her. Bastard!
Paul, there's something I think I should tell you.
What? No, we genuinely never find out what that was.
If we survive...
But Ralph is outside... watching them bang? Ralph, what are you doing? And why so close to Camp Crystal Lake? No! Ralph, thank you. You know what? I'm not even that upset. This movie completely wasted him. In part 1, Ralph was so over the top and wacky, he was hilarious. But here, he warns 2 people and that's it. And he doesn't even do that well. He has like 1 line. Then he just dies. He is here for no reason and he should have lasted way longer in my opinion. Anyway, the counselors walk through some woods. Jason spies on them but doesn't kill them for some reason. Their dog goes wandering and finds him, which is weird considering how alert they usually are to danger, even shown earlier in this film. But in quite a clever and amusing transition, it does immediately cut to a hot dog. Genius. They decide to go swimming, but this chick is still obsessed with Crystal Lake. I get being a bit intrigued, but come on.
What's green and red and
goes 100 miles an hour.
What?
Frog in a blender.
Ah, that wasn't funny.
It's brown and sits on a piano.
Your face.
Beethoven's last movement.
Ew.
Genuinely some of the worst stand-up jokes I've ever had. Like, not even so bad they're funny, just awful. Meanwhile, Jason follows the duo who are on their way to Crystal Lake, and it's treated all mysterious and scary and epic, but Jason has been killing people who aren't in the camp constantly, so it clearly doesn't matter where they are. And they apparently walk directly past him without even noticing. At least I think they do. The POV shots are never consistent enough to be able to tell. Oh well, they find the dog completely mutilated. No! Why? Why the dog? Kill all the humans. Kill the writers. But oh no, they're soon caught trespassing.
What are you kids doing out here?
Trying to out-act me. It's not hard. The cop heads off and spots Jason running across the road, leading to a little chase scene. He finds his way to a shack where Jason has been hiding out, and honestly, despite the fact it makes no sense that he wouldn't tell his mum he was alive, I actually kinda like this idea. I like the concept that Jason's not actually supernatural and he's human, at least at first. No idea how this shack has been undiscovered for so long or how Jason managed to sort out plumbing for his toilet, but still, a cool idea. Jason hammers the guy to death. Meanwhile, all the councillors decide to split into the ones who want to die and all the ones who want to stay with Ted and survive. Honestly, Paul is the only one I kinda like. He's a bit of a badass and has a smooth style to him.
You're not even gonna reprimand him? No punishment? What kind of place is this?
Ginny,
Yes, Paul.
no seconds on dessert for Jeff and Sandra tonight.
But my point is, if they've got no personality or characters, why would you give a rat's ass about them surviving? But to his credit, this shot of Jason's shadow passing the cabin is pretty awesome.
Muffin?
Wow, you deserve to die just for naming your dog Muffin. But don't you know what you're supposed to do when it's at night, you're all alone and you've just lost your dog? Get naked and go skinny dipping, of course! But let's swap general character development with arm wrestling. And then one of them goes off to get laid. Elsewhere, Jason stalks naked lady, but the music seems to imply that he's actually Jaws. Okay, now that is a crossover I can get on board with. But no, it's creepy guy again. He's stolen her clothes, only to give them right back again. Ha ha ha, you showed her.
I think you're drunk.
He does, however, run off with her bra before getting stuck upside down in a random trap that is actually never explained now that I realise. What a surprise! Jason shows up and kills him, which does actually look pretty cool.
Scott, I'm gonna cut you down. But I swear, if you ever do this to me again, I'm gonna kill you.
And then immediately ruined by another overdone cliche. Oh well, let's cut to a club where all the survivors are at. The main three start discussing the story of Jason, and Ginny begins sympathising with him just to get us to like her a bit more for the ending. Just in case you didn't already.
He must have seen his mother get killed, and all just because she loved him. I mean, isn't that what her revenge was all about? Her sense of loss?
Yes, she was getting revenge for her son dying. While that dead son was watching.
Give me a break.
But they soon head off to return to camp.
Excuse me, are there any after-hours places around here?
Sure are.
Sure are.
The hell was the point in that?
Oh, come on, you chicken shit.
So Kevin Bacon's alternate and his bird begin making out. Does he ever take his hat off? I mean, it falls off and even puts it back on. Oh well, they head upstairs to die. I mean boink. Meanwhile, these two hang out and only now she decides to ask him how he ended up in a wheelchair. It's not interesting. Let's look somewhere else. He plays the harmonica before sex. As you do. No, you can't take his hat off! Can't wear to someone else, please! This is too much! Oh, look, the handicapped guy kisses her because he has a dick and she has a vagina, and this is a horror movie with a lazy script, so it means they have to get together. But first, she has to go elsewhere and slowly get undressed and ready for sex, while Jason stands nearby having a wank in the bushes. She even puts perfume down her crotch, because apparently when a guy goes down on a girl, he wants to be able to taste perfume fragrances.
I've heard that one before.
She starts rummaging through a car with her ass out as Jason, or a rude cameraman, I'm not sure which, approaches her. But yeah, it's not actually Jason. The direction is so annoying. I can't tell when we're supposed to feel suspense and when we're not, whether it's Jason or just the cameraman.
Have it your way, honey.
Well, Jason is elsewhere, smacking a machete in the dude's face somehow from behind. I don't know, the angle is really weird. Then he rolls down the stairs, and I'm ashamed to admit it looks just hilarious. But then we weirdly transition to sex. This film doesn't know how to film.
Well, hurry, okay?
But you know the rules. Jason roams the cabin, removes Ted's mask from earlier, which definitely looks a lot better than what we see later, and grabs a spear along the way. And this shot of them cuddling while he walks in is actually bone-chilling. Ouch! And that's just bone-crushing. Anyway, the bird with the perfumed foo-foo returns to find Jason in bed. So, is he just lying there, waiting patiently? And I am sorry, but I am never taking that seriously. Who came up with that? Anyway, she gets stabbed in the vagina. I think.
At least the knife will smell nice.
Before Paul and Ginny finally return to camp.
Yeah, Ginny, what? What is this, a joke?
There's blood all over the bed! Surely you can smell and tell that it's real. What is wrong with you?
Paul, what's going on here?
Nothing.
What do you mean, nothing? You found a blood-soaked bed, you moron! But in a truly awesome moment, in the midst of the darkness, Ginny does manage to spot Jason.
Paul, there's someone in this room.
Paul, there's someone in this fucking room!
But instead of helping out, she kind of just watches. And thanks to her, Jason gets the upper hand and chases her down. And I must admit, this is actually hilarious. She's waiting in the kitchen, knife at the ready as the doorknob slowly moves. She's anticipating it. There's all this tension and build-up, only for Jason to burst through with a pitchfork instead. Oh, and she also finds Ralph in the pantry for some reason. Why does Jason take the time to prop up all these bodies like this? In fact, how does Jason find the time to prop up all these bodies like this?
Answer me!
So she tries to escape in her car, but it won't start. But you see, no, this isn't a cliche because it was foreshadowed earlier and explained that her car has a tendency to sometimes not start. So no, it's not a cliche, it's clever writing. I'm sorry, that face will never be scary. Then he somehow sneaks over to get in position without her noticing and stabs the wrong part of the roof, but this is when, I am not joking, even the movie gets bored of itself. It says screw it and decides to do transition shots. Yeah, we just kill time to, I assumed, getting Ginny to Jason's house. But no, it's just a cabin. And then Jason follows her, whatever. She hides under a bed, holding onto a rat for some reason, and then lets it go, and I think it pisses itself, which somehow gets Jason's attention. He climbs this weak-ass chair for no reason without her noticing somehow. She grabs a convenient chainsaw. Good thing that didn't fail to start. Then she wanders around some more before finally landing in Jason's house. What the hell are the odds? And she even manages to barricade herself in the exact room with Pamela's disembodied head, which he obviously carried home from Alice's house somehow without anyone noticing. And basically she wears Pamela's jumper because this was foreshadowed earlier too.
Use a little of that child psychology you're majoring in.
That was it. That line was only in there for this. I mean, this could have actually been really clever if they adapted on it. She actually used it throughout the film, but instead, no, it's just earlier in the movie, oh, you majored in child psychology, and then here she uses child psychology. That's the only connection. Learn to write!
That's a good boy. Good Jason.
But it doesn't work. He realises she's not Pamela, and the attacking continues.
Ginny!
Acting! Also, how the hell did he know where the house was? Or the fact that she went there? So Jason fights Paul while Ginny slow-mo attacks Jason and apparently after one blow to the head, he's dead. Yep, that's all it took. They do remove the sack from his head, but we don't get to see what it looks like just yet. Oh yeah, I am totally convinced this is the end. After how the first movie finished, I am so sure they are now perfectly safe. What a shocker. So they hear a noise, head to investigate while Ginny waits by a window because she never learns and deserves to die at this point. But it's just the dog. Didn't the dog die earlier? Or is this an identical dog? Why did it go missing? What happened to it? What's going on? Oh, and another fake out ending that will once again never be explained. We do get to see Jason's deformed face though, before we then cut to Ginny being taken into an ambulance asking where Paul is. Which doesn't make much sense because she was attacked by Jason and not Paul. Yet she survived and he's nowhere to be seen. And then we have a random close-up on Pamela's head to end the movie. Now in the original ending, Pamela's eyes were supposed to open and she was meant to smile, indicating that Paul was actually dead. Even though we're still, heavily implied that he's dead here, but, whatever. But the director decided to cut that out because it just looked goofy and funny. Yeah, whereas this just screams terror. And that was Friday the 13th Part 2. How is it? Worse than the original? The first one at least had a creepy Pamela and an over-the-top Ralph. Here, not only do they ruin the latter, the movie's own existence makes no sense. Jason is a joke. The only character I kinda like doesn't really get developed on enough, and every few minutes there's a plot hole that doesn't quite add up. The characters are bland, but you start to expect this from the franchise. The deaths are graphic, but not exactly creative. The direction is a pain in my ass, and although I'm not too keen on the first film, this one just kinda lacks some of the charm that one had. Well, maybe they'll get better with time. I'll see you all on the next Friday, the 13th. I'm filming this as England are playing the semi-final, and I think I just heard someone yes, come on, they've only been playing about 10 minutes.